Listening to my mother is something I so wish I had the opportunity to do. My mom died over 20 years ago at the age of 47, the very age I am today, which is way too young to die if you ask me. But long before my mother passed away, I was unable to listen to her. Or more accurately, she was unable to speak to me. My mom had a genetic disorder called Machado-Joseph disease, or MJD. She first started showing symptoms of it when she was only 24 years old, just 2 years after I was born. And over the next 20-plus years, her body slowly deteriorated. She lost the ability to walk, to care for herself, and sadly, the ability to speak. You've most likely never heard of MJD. It's classified as a rare disorder. However, in my family, it didn't seem so rare. It's a dominant disorder, which means that people with it have a 50-50 chance of passing it on to their kids. Yet my grandfather passed it on to all 5 of his children, including my mom. My own looming risk for MJD meant that I spent much of the first 30 years of my life trying to be as unlike my mother as I could. Now, I know that a lot of girls say they will never go up to be like their mom, but I really did not want to be like her. Yet, everywhere I looked, the similarities were hard to deny. Her dark hair, her dark eyes, her height, or lack thereof. I spent many hours hoping that the traits that I could see were all that my mother had passed on to me. When I became a teenager, I began to realize that there were many things that my mother would never pass down to me. She would never pass on to me the secrets of being a girl. Things like, what exactly do you buy when you get your period? Or how to buy a bra. She would never teach me how to wear makeup, help me buy a prom dress, or shop for a wedding gown. Despite never learning how to be a real girl, I longed to be a mother. But unlike my mom, I knew that MJD was genetic. And I loved my imaginary kids enough to know that passing on this disease to them was not a risk I was willing to take. Then, something I never expected happened. The gene for MJD was identified. This discovery meant that I could find out if I had inherited MJD. It meant that I could listen to a DNA message that had been left by my mom 30 years earlier. I just had to decide. Was I brave enough to hear what her message said? It took me a couple years to muster the courage, but I finally decided to listen to her DNA message. On that beautiful May morning, I was scheduled to get my DNA results. I put on a sweater my mom had worn as a teenager. It felt like a hug from the past that I have no recollection of ever receiving. And in this embrace, I listened to her DNA message. I cried when I realized my test results, her message said, "You have been blessed with my good gene." This message from my mom was the greatest gift I've ever received. It allowed those imaginary kids whom I had been protecting for years to become real. My daughters are kind, smart, talented, and beautiful. Their mere existence makes me realize how hard life must have been for my mom. They also remind me how much I miss her and how sad it is that she never got to meet these great kids who are her legacy. Over the years, I have wondered what advice my mother might have given me about navigating motherhood. So, I have learned to listen to my mother in unconventional ways. I hear her speak to me in the lyrics of Barry Manilow songs she loved to listen to when I was little and remain my guilty pleasure today. Sometimes I hear her talking to me through my daughter's actions. One day, I commented to my husband about how my daughter bites the inside of her cheek when she's upset or stressed out. To which he replied, "Just like you." This made me recall a scene in a documentary about MJD and my family. In this scene, a doctor asks my mother if she knew the risk of MJD for her 2 daughters. At that moment, a sad look came across her face, and she bit the inside of her cheek, just like me and my daughter. And in that little nervous tick, I heard my mom saying, "I love my 2 daughters more than anything. I would do anything for them, and I can't bear the thought of having caused them harm." I hope my daughters will listen to both my words and my actions, even when they think those actions are too strict or just plain crazy, because my actions, like the bite on the inside of my mom's cheek, are saying, "I love you more than anything, and I'd do anything for you."